Hi guys, today we are going to be doing Dalmatian puppy themed nails. I am going to be using my usual stuff. I've already done some of my prep work. I'm using my Senate monitor from SM Nail Candy. I am going to be using my Pana 8080 file, my black mamba from the Glam Trap House. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of got a halo glitter in it, just a little bit. And also my red apple from SM Nail Candy. And my cover white. Oh, I spilled it in my monomer. Way to go. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be capping everything in clear underneath, just a thin layer of clear acrylic for strength, because colored acrylic isn't as strong. We all know that by now. If not, I say it on every video, so you'll learn it eventually. So you're just going to do a thin layer of clear over all of the nails, from cuticle to end. This gives it strength and gives you a nice even base to apply your color on. You just want to get a nice big bead and then work it down the nail. And try to make sure that it's nice and flat and smooth as best you can. Now we're going to go ahead and skip ahead because nobody wants to watch that for the next 20 minutes. Go ahead to applying the white to the other nails. Now I'm using like a sheer cover white from SM Nail Candy that it's not really sheer, it's pretty solid. It's just got a nice opaque kind of feel to it. Now I'm going to take this and do the 3 main nails, and then I'm going to do an accent nail on the ring finger, but otherwise it's going to be solid white all the way across. So we're just going to work some beads of white in there. And you want to make sure that you're doing your white nice and even, because especially if it's kind of opaque like this, because otherwise once it sets you'll see it'll look kind of marbled if the beads aren't even all the way across the nail. So even if you have to do it a little thicker, that's fine. You can always file it down, but just make sure you have a nice solid white all the way across. And white acrylic is exceptionally hard to work with. I'm not sure why, it just seems to show every single mistake. Now, I chose this white instead of like a more solid white, just because it has kind of a softer, more shadowy look, and since I'm going back in with black polish to do the dots, or the spots, I guess, I wanted it to look more like shadowy, to give it kind of depth instead of like just solid paper, you know? Now we are going to go ahead and skip ahead. Now I've got all of my white applied, well, all the white I'm going to use. Now what I'm going to do is go in and apply black and red at a diagonal. I like to use an X-Acto knife for this, but basically you want to start at one corner and work your way down to the opposite corner. Make sure you're getting nice even coverage, because again, colored acrylic, it'll look marbled if you don't. And with black it's kind of hard to tell until you get it up to the light that you've missed a spot. Now this part can be kind of tricky. However, if you don't get the line exactly right, like I said, I'm going to go in with an X-Acto knife and cut that so that it's nice and straight, and also file that wall, that way where the red meets it, I have a nice crisp line and it's not wobbly or off. So if it looks kind of messy right here, that's not really a big deal. It's going to look kind of messy. Just make sure that you're getting it all the way up to the cuticle, and that you're getting it all the way into that corner. Otherwise, where the red meets, you're going to have like a little spot on the corner. and it's kind of hard to get them to meet up there, so you just want to make sure you're putting as much as you need, patting it down so that it fills in all the way across. And I'm using kind of a big brush here. It's a size 12 Pana crimped brush. For stuff like this, if you haven't done color blocking before, you might want to go in and maybe with a smaller brush so that you don't end up with like excessive amounts on one side and not the other, because it's kind of hard to get them even the first time you try this. So maybe you can start with a smaller brush, give you a little more control. You are going to use a lot more beads. I think on this one nail I probably used 8 to 10 small beads just to make sure I got everything, because you can't just lay it down and spread it. You have to, like, you know, apply it down that diagonal, which is a little harder. It's a lot harder. Color blocking's harder than it looks. It's really hard to get that crisp line if you're not using an X-Acto knife, which I am, just because this kind of has the movie feel to it, so I want it to be very precise and expensive looking, I guess. I think we all know who this nail represents with the black and the red. Now we will go ahead and skip ahead to the red. Now that we got that black all applied, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. You want it to be sharp, and be very careful because your fingers are right under there, and you also don't want to cut into the tip. Like, you have that layer of clear acrylic there, but these knives are usually pretty sharp. So you want to cut straight down, as straight as you can, and go ahead and remove any excess with your knife. Just scrape it off. It should come off pretty easily. You don't want to wait until it's all the way dry or the knife's not going to work. So you want it to be kind of set but still movable, if you know what I mean. Like, to where you can push it with your brush but it doesn't move on its own, basically. And then just clean up that line, scrape off any excess, make sure there's not a lot of extra black on the nail. Now, sorry, I'm a bit of a neat freak, and when I switch colors, I don't like to clean my brush where there's one color because I feel like it's going to contaminate it. I'm a weirdo, and I don't like all the dust and whatnot. Now, I'm going to take my file and make sure you keep your file straight and do it just along that diagonal line, and this will make it super, super straight from one end to the other because it's going the whole length of the file. And you just want to lightly file that side so that when the red meets it, it's not, what's the word? You want to make sure that it's going straight up and down at a straight vertical wall. That way it's not, you know, the red isn't going over some of the black. It should come right up to meet it. So you want to make sure it's perfectly straight and run that file straight up and down, almost like you're doing a sidewall. If you need to make adjustments, go ahead. See, the black mamba has just a touch of glitter. Like, it has a really cool, like, almost like galaxy feel. Like, it looks like a night sky. It's really neat. It's my favorite black by far. Actually, I've been using it too much. I'm going to have to order some more. I like to hoard it. I feel upset when I run out of it, so. So now we're going to go ahead and start applying our red. Now you want to start your first beads right up on that line and make sure you fill that in, because if you start over on the side or at the top, it's going to start to dry and maybe not get down all along that wall. So you want to take your beads and push it right up to the black. And if you overlap a little bit, that's fine. Because we filed that wall on the black, when you file down the top of it, it's going to reveal that line. So if you overlap, that's fine. Just make sure you're getting it as close as, you know, right up on it. And try to make sure that it's even height. Although, you know, at least as high as. If it goes over, that's fine, because like I said, you're going to file it down. So, but otherwise, You want to make sure it's at least as high as, so that you don't have one side higher than the other, which is kind of hard when you're color blocking on a diagonal to make sure that the height is the same on both sides. So we're just going to work that red all the way to the side and all the way down to the tip. I'm just checking my height here, making sure that everything is as nice and even as you can get it, and this is going to save you trouble when you're filing later. Try to keep that line as clean as you can, but like I said, if you go over, oh well, you're going to file it down anyway. Now, what I'm doing here is before I cap them, I like to go through with the sanding band when you're color blocking. Normally you don't file it before you cap, but I do when I'm color blocking, just like I said, to reveal that line and make sure it's nice and even under there, so you don't, so the color doesn't appear uneven, which if it's not even and you cap it, it's going to look kind of weird, almost like one color's reaching out and the other one's not. So you just want to file down where the line is to reveal how, you know, that nice straight line, and you want to take off any excess or bulk, make sure it's nice and even. That way when you cap it, everything's nice and smooth, and it doesn't look like, you know, a kindergarten mess. And just a light file is fine. So I'm going to finish up my filing here and get that black and red exactly how I want it. And make sure it's how you want it, because you're only going to be filing clear after this. I appear to have filed the tip of the nail off. So now I'm going to try to even that out before I cap it. And I tend to get a little excessive with my filing because my shaping needs some work, so I tend to spend a while doing it. Lucky for you guys, I've cut out about 20 minutes of filing so far. I'm going to skip over the rest of it too, just to save you guys, you know, a lot of boredom and heartache. Since I went ahead and filed off the red off that tip, I'm just going to go ahead and, and file that off. Doesn't matter, they're still really long, so still looks good to me anyway. So now I'm going to go ahead and cap all these in clear. I've already done a couple of the white ones. I'm going to go ahead and cap this one. Now, what I also do before I cap it in clear when I'm color blocking like this is wipe it down with acetone to get rid of any dust or any grooves, because sometimes those grooves can show through the clear, and I don't like that. Kind of takes away from the finished look, so I like to take a lint-free wipe and get it wet with acetone and just rub the top of that really good, and it gets rid of any grooves from filing, which normally you wouldn't be filing before you cap, so it's not an issue, but especially with stuff like this, I like to do it since I do file before I cap. We'll go ahead and finish this up, and then we will move ahead to our filing and top coat and spots and, you know, all the things it takes to make a puppy. Now we're going to go ahead and do our filing. Now that I've capped it all, I'm going to go ahead and start filing the white ones because they're already dry while I wait for my accent nail to dry. You want to get it nice and crisp, especially white. Like I said, it shows every possible flaw, so you really want to focus on your filing with the white. Just make sure you get it nice and as smooth as you can, and make sure you just buff the crap out of it, because otherwise it's going to show every lump, bump, and groove. So just, your file's your friend. Take care of it. Now we're going to go ahead and skip ahead. I'm not going to make you watch all that. Now I am going to go ahead and do my spots. What I have is a little bit of, it's just regular black nail polish, not gel polish. You can use gel polish, you just have to cure it in between. So I don't have black gel polish, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my regular black and a dotting tool. And you don't want to do even dots for this. You want to them to be kind of messed up and uneven, just like a Dalmatians puppy spots would be. So you want to kind of move your dotting tool around a little bit, make some bigger, some smaller, and you don't want them to be too evenly spaced out either, because that's not how puppies look. That's not how Dalmatians look. You want to go through and just kind of, I guess, just wing it. Like, imperfect is what you're going for here. And still make it, make the aesthetic good. You want the spots filled in, and you want the white to have even coverage. You just don't want it to be too perfect. So, and you can always go back and add more if you don't like how it looks before you top coat it. But this part's actually pretty quick. Just going to go through, spot them up. And then on that accent nail, I think I'm going to do like a Louis Vuitton sticker decal, because it's supposed to be elegant and like the woman whose name I'm not going to say. She would wear designer clothes, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there. And I have some red petal-shaped gems that I'm going to use just to give it a little bit more, class. But only on that accent nail. The rest I want to just be plain white with spots. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my Louis Vuitton sticker on. These ones I got from the Glam Trap House too. They actually stick. They're not water decals. So these ones are just regular stickers. Pull them off and place them. So I don't put any glue down or anything. I do top coat it to hold it down, obviously. And then just make sure it's nice and even and there aren't any corners sticking up, or, that the letters are even. Just like you would with every other decal. Now I'm going to take my gems. I just did like a, like a little starburst pattern. Almost like a tiara, I guess. You want to put something down for them to stick to. I like to use top coat because it's easier. So I just put a really thin layer of top coat down over the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and top coat the other nails here, and just to seal in the black, because regular nail polish, obviously that's going to rub right off of acrylic. So I usually do, if I'm using regular nail polish at all, I do 2 coats of gel top coat, because I don't trust regular polish at all. Now I'm going to go ahead and top coat the accent nail, and then while it's still wet, I'll be applying the gems. And then I have this handy little UV flashlight that I use to, because I don't want the gems to slide off while it's curing or while it's on the way to the lamp. So I have this little UV flashlight that I use to flash cure it in just, one spot. That way the gems don't move while I'm top coating the other nails or while it's in the lamp. It's actually really handy. Like, you should definitely pick one up. They have them at hardware stores. They're called Police UV bodily fluid flashlights, but I use them for polygel because you can put it right on the nail and get it all the way through. So it's really handy for that. But also, if you're doing things like gems and you don't want to put the whole hand or finger or whatever in the lamp, you can just point it right on the part that you need to cure really quick, and then go about the rest until you cure the whole hand. So I started doing them in a line here, but I didn't like how it looked, so I turned it into like a little mini tiara thing. So it always takes me a little while to get them nice and even because my hands tremble a little bit, and I'm not really great at gem placement, so I try to minimize it, just do it as little as I can get away with. This is the UV flashlight. They're like 10 bucks at the hardware store, and they're really neat. Also, if your lamp breaks, it's a really cheap alternative that you can get the same day without having to wait on an order or spend 40 bucks on a new lamp. Now I'll go ahead and cure this, and this is the finished product. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with the result. I think it looks like puppies, and that looks like a very rich lady there on the accent nail. So if you guys have any questions, comment down below, or most of you know how to actually contact me. And next I'll be doing princesses. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good night.